Welcome to Sober Patrol. Um, Greg, are you still there with me? Not real sure what happened to Greg. My guest was live a second ago, and I don't know what happened, so he's probably logging back in. But welcome to Sober Patrol on this Sunday morning, this afternoon here in Ohio. So, okay, here he is. We're live again. Okay, so I did the countdown, and we're live. Hi, Greg.
Hi, how are you?
Doing amazing. So this is Sunday afternoon. We
Yes.
got together. I've been watching Greg on Facebook. So maybe tell him a little bit about your story and how you're going to walk 500 miles across, I guess, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm going to go from, so I've been struggling with addiction for about the last 10 years. And I've had short terms of sobriety. In 2022, I did a walk from Green Bay to Cudahy, which is like 132 miles. And during that walk, it was easy for me to stay sober because all I was doing was talking about recovery and being around recovery. This last time when I relapsed, I figured the biggest thing I was missing was being involved in, my recovery and being active in, with my recovery. So I wanted to do something bigger this time and to give back to the place where actually I was able to get clean and sober. So I decided to walk 500 miles from Lake Superior to Lake Michigan in order to raise some funds for United Community Center where I got clean, but also to bring awareness to recovery and addiction and mental health. People don't realize, how many people are affected by it. A lot of people are afraid to talk about it, and I'm just not afraid anymore.
Right. That's right. I mean, you have to recover out loud because if you don't recover out loud, then nobody else is going to know about it. Like when I was in addiction, I know for me, I knew nothing about sober living. In rehabs, I thought was so institutionalized, and you don't talk about mental health or they'll put you away kind of thing. And so that was a stigma. And to get away from that stigma of that, you have to recover out loud. So I'm so inspired by what you're doing, and that's just awesome what you're doing. And so can you tell me a little bit about your addiction struggle? And
It's kind of weird because I don't want to be like, oh, I was a late bloomer, because it's nothing I want to glorify. But for the longest time, I was very anti-drug, and I went through a rough divorce, and I just didn't know how to handle it. Like, the kids were gone, I had nobody to wait on. I wasn't, busy like I used to be, and I got lonely and depressed and sad, and everything kind of spiraled out of control, and I needed something to self-medicate. And once you stop, once you start, it's so hard to stop. It's just, you become, yeah, the physical part too, and not only the mental part, but the physical. And it was something that was always there for me. And, people say you can't stay sober for your kids, and you can, but it kind of works against you when you don't see them enough, because then it's kind of like, yeah, I can stay sober for my kids when I have them, but I don't have them as much as I want. And it sounds awful, but I missed them. I didn't know. I needed something to fill that void, and unfortunately, I turned to drugs and alcohol.
If you don't mind me asking, what was your drug of choice?
Heroin and then crack.
So, for me, I am kind of in the same boat, and I'm actually very relatable to your story. I was a 15-year-old mom. I was a young mother. I grew up in a very anti-drug family, very Christian, Southern-rooted family that, we didn't do that. I didn't expose my children to drugs and things like that when they were young. And it's, well, like you said, the empty nest syndrome. What do I do now with myself? Who am I? And like you were saying, the late bloomer, who am I? I went through even an identity crisis, while I was in addiction. I didn't know who the hell I was.
I know. It's so true, though. And I got married pretty young. She was my best friend, that whole high school sweetheart thing. And even to this day, I don't really know how to date. My kids are still, who I look at when I need somebody to go hang out with or go to a movie with, and it's kind of
Nothing wrong
weird.
with that.
Yeah, it's at least I know my data like me at the end.
So like I'm away from my kids. So like I miss
Yeah,
podcasts through sober living. And I'm very grateful. Like I know how to do the things in my life that I was very successful at doing, but I've never been a drug addict until, 5 years, 4 years ago. And it took going to rehab, being arrested after 40 something years old, and realizing like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? And
I
now
know.
you're looking up from the bottom.
Yeah, me and you have a very similar past. Like, I mean, I was extremely successful at a young age. I know you did well for yourself, and it was like sometimes when they go over some of the things that seem elementary because our lives were together, it's kind of like, well, I
Right,
still need the reminder too.
right. You have to have that reminder.
Yeah, and I
I
did
was like,
sober
I don't know
living.
if you do you do like the programs? Do you do the AA and NAHA and stuff like that?
I do. So I did sober living myself for the very first time this time too to try something different. And I'm going on 60 some days in a row with a meeting. I usually do 2 or 3 a day. I do it more for the fellowship and stay busy and but I enjoy it too. I learn a lot and it's the time when that's my spirituality is actually the meetings.
Yeah. So like when I first started going to meetings, and I'm not trying to glorify or 'cause I know it's attraction rather than promotion, and I'm not trying to promote AA. It'll bring people to it, how they attraction rather than promotion. But I do know for me, because it doesn't work for everybody, but it does work for me, and that I did work the steps, and I did get a sponsor, and I did do the things that was needed to do in the program. That does work. I mean, still involved, in 1939, if you're familiar with that, it wrote
Yeah.
the Alcoholics Anonymous book. There's two people that legendary started these meetings for people all over the world. And for me, it does work. So,
It does for me too. And Laura Haas was my peer support, who also lives in a sober living where I live. She used to always say, "Get to meetings, get to meetings," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll go get my key tag. I'll go on my 30, 60, 90 in 6 months." And you know, I didn't work the program correctly in the past. It makes it easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it makes it easier when you do the right things.
right. But you know what scares me? It scares me when I see these people and they come into these AA meetings or these meetings, and I'm gonna stop saying AA so that hurt my feelings or anything, But I go into these meetings, and I see somebody that's 50 something years in sobriety, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you mean I have to do this shit for the rest of my life?
Right. It's great.
But it's like, when will I be to that point where I'm strong enough to be able to maintain sobriety on my own? So then I thought about, it's the key to that for me is staying active in my community, keeping a job, keeping good, sober, positive influence around me. I don't know what about you?
Absolutely. And, part of the walk thing, I tell people like it's a selfish reason. I do it for my mental health. I do it for my recovery because I don't know how to not do stuff. Like I was always doing things. I owned a company. Like I was just used to putting things and events together. So like, it is a selfish reason too. Yes, it brings people together and, raises awareness and stuff, but it helps my recovery. It keeps me busy. It keeps me accountable for something.
And
I'm not
I love to hear that.
Yeah, I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not going to go to a meeting if I'm using. I'm not going to live in sober living if I'm using. I'm not going to do a recovery event if I'm using. So it makes this portion of it easy. It's just me doing the other things now to help it turn into long-term sobriety.
Right. I'm with you on that. Like, when I relapsed, obviously I stopped going, but I'm like, oh, I just won't tell anybody. But I had been in the program 11 months,
Yeah.
Immediately my mind switched to like, oh my God, I have to tell everybody. So like
Yeah.
you avoid the meetings because you know you're gonna have to go stand up at a meeting and say, I messed up. But
Yeah.
the good thing about it is like it's okay. Come to me, I'm gonna hug you anyway. We fuck up. We mess up.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a guy, I was just in with residential and stuff, and he slipped up and he came, and when I seen him, he's like, "You're mad at me." I'm like, "How the hell am I gonna be mad at you? I am you. I can't be mad at you." I'm like, I'm just disappointed that we still struggle so much, But I
Right,
can't be mad at you. It's like looking in the mirror, I've made so many mistakes in
right,
this program.
right. In early sobriety, you don't know that. Like, you just don't, because your mind is still foggy. You don't have that clarity that you need.
Yeah.
And for me also, I found God. God is 406 times in the big book in the first, I think, 152 pages. It's in there
That's
probably
crazy.
30 times. And so, like, it's instilled in that. I don't know what your RV is or whatever, but for me, it's God,
Yeah.
and I'm really inspired. So, when do you plan on starting your journey?
So I will be heading to Superior, Wisconsin on August 10th, and I will start to walk on August 11th. And I will be walking for the next 20 days. I will finish in Cudahy, Wisconsin on the 31st of August. And I'm also going to try to put together a recovery picnic at my finish. So I'm excited about adding things to this walk. So I'll walk every day for basically 3 weeks. I'll take one day off in Oshkosh because I have family out there. So I'm going to visit my aunt and uncle, and my mom's going to come. Besides that, I'll be basically walking a marathon a day.
Wow, that is just that makes me tired. Like, but it's something that I would like. I would love to do. Like, and it's getting warmer outside. I want to be outside. I love the outdoors. All I want to do is go outside. I don't want to be inside right now, but it's too cold
And
outside.
yeah, that area in Wisconsin where I'm starting is it's just God's country. It's just beautiful. It's the perfect place to be on vacation in the summer. So I basically get to walk my vacation. So I'm excited. And the nice thing is I'm trying to do is
That's kind of awesome though. So like, do you backpack it? Where do you
I
stay? Like,
do I do stay in hotels, but I have a day pack, usually about 40 pounds. I got a first aid kit. I do carry like hard copy maps. Like something would happen, so I have like my information in a binder, things along that nature. And I just walk and think and go live and take phone calls, and I'm doing a few things different this time because last time I did it I met some amazing people, but I didn't have a keepsake, so I'm going to carry an NA flag. And I want
there you
to,
go. Right on.
yeah,
I love
isn't that
that.
cool? Yeah, I figure get as
Yeah,
many
I love that.
people like affected by recovery to sign it. And then
Well,
I
we'll
have a
have to make
keepsake.
make some sober patrol shirts so you can support me out there.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I definitely,
Yeah,
that's what this is addicts helping
that's
addicts.
it.
And
It's staying together or staying sober anywhere in unity. This is
yeah,
not my group or your group or that sober group, this sober group. Man, we're all going through the same thing and we all are in sobriety. We're in that in between world of addiction and the society.
yeah.
And it's
So,
relatable.
it's all is. So last time I did the walk, I had so many people reach out, and I said, I have something here. I just didn't know to like what
Yeah.
extent, but I'm like, there's so many people that are affected by addiction. And that's why I want to do the flag thing. Cause I had nothing that I kept besides pictures and stuff, but I wanted something to be like, man, I remember that lady, she gave me $20 to buy, soda. And that
Yeah,
lady
there
got me
you
off
go.
cookies. And yeah. So it'll be cool. Like I like, the
Oh,
fact.
that's awesome.
And
I
I'm
got
trying to get
so
people,
inspired.
thank you. I'm trying to get people to join me. So if anyone wants to walk, just reach
Yes,
out.
definitely. Like
Cause
anybody listening right now or that watches this video later because it will be posted. Um, yes, like let's get active. Let's march in unity. Let's walk. Let's do this thing. I love this, and I've been following you, and I've been watching you, and am so inspired by your story. by what you're about to do. I'm super excited. I'm going to follow you on your journey, on your live stream, stuff like
Thank
that.
you so much. I appreciate it.
So keep in touch with me, and for real, and it's going to be great, man. I'm super excited for you.
Thank you.
I'm excited. I mean, I would absolutely love it.
That's like there are a lot of people reached out, so we'll see how many people come. I did have people come last time. It was super cool. So the more the merrier.
I mean, you know, even if like you go into a town, like walk around town with you, even like walk around town, or hey, this guy's coming, like do a little welcoming committee and stuff for AA groups. And so do you go? That's another question. So do you find, because there's meetings everywhere, you go into AA meetings and
I have 12 meetings planned so far. So I'm trying to find one every single day, but I do have 12 so far planned. So I'm still working on a few other ones, but I'm definitely hitting meetings. So I'm putting together a spaghetti dinner to help raise some funds for the walk itself, because the costs are a lot more than last time. Last time I paid for everything and it was like over $2,000. This time it'll be right around $5,000 with hotels and shirts and bracelets and all that. So I am going to put together a spaghetti dinner to help raise funds. And I want to, anything that's left, I wanted to bless some of the meetings. So I was going to put a little extra in the seventh tradition. So hopefully we raise some good money at the spaghetti dinner so I can bless a few meetings as well.
well, if I can do anything to help, be here to post anything that you want on Sober Patrol site.
Thank you
Feel
so
free to
much.
do that, and I will help get out all your stuff and support you in any way that I can, because I think what you're doing is admirable, courageous, and brave. And like I said, I'm really inspired by you. So I know you told me about, like we were talking briefly on the phone, and you told me about how I told you I was feeding the homeless yesterday. Kind of to give back from where I was at one point in my life when I was in addiction. I like to give back to the community, like service, things like that. Said something about maybe you staying in prison or something like that on your journey the first time.
Now, the first time I did it for a company called organization called the Street Angels of Milwaukee. They feed the homeless, pass out tents, hygiene, clothing, shoes, similar to what you were doing yesterday, which is awesome. So I gave it to them the first time. This time, the funds are going to go to United Community Center, which is residential, day treatment, outpatient. They house 45 clients between the men and women in 3 different houses. And that's where I've went a few times. That's where that's my home. Everyone there I love so much. I got my sponsor through friends through there. I got a lot of amazing people I've met who continue to help me to this day.
That's awesome. I just know that. So I know this is kind of like a trigger question, and it's very might offend some people the way I ask it, but I'm not trying to. But I have been there, so I can relate. I have lived in the woods and in Sturbridge because of my addiction. I did do that. Do you think that people that are homeless what percentage do you think are homeless because of drugs? About, or do you think that's a stigma, or do you think it's society? What, I'm just curious because like most people I did meet that were homeless were in some sort of relatable situation that like they lost their kids or they lost a loved one and they turned to drugs and alcohol, lost everything, and to want to live and things like that.
Yeah, I think honestly, the number's high. I can't think of many people that are out there because of normal circumstances. Drugs and alcohol rip so many people away from their families, and you're a prisoner to the disease, and you're willing to give up everything for it. And it's I have not crossed paths with a lot of people who are just out there because they're down on their luck. Unfortunately, it's because of that disease that we have.
So I think, like, I'm gonna pray for you on your walk, but that are sick and suffering don't know how. Like if I had, one of the reasons I did not go to a mission, we were both at a mission because I couldn't. It was only a man's mission. There was no place for me. And so like we stayed on the streets, and I want to get the word out there because, a lot of people, they just don't know about sober living. They don't know that their lives are so stuck in the haze and they don't know how to get out. I know because I was there. And I just, it took me getting arrested and just surrendering to being arrested. God intervening and doing for me what I could not do for myself. And I would love to help people. I know they do like sleep outs and things like that to raise money for the homeless. But I want to sweep the street. I want to sweep the street and something like what you're doing on your call, to make homeless people aware that there is help, there is places to go, resourcing, and things like that to help.
Yeah, that's huge because a lot of them just, they don't realize. They think that where they're at is where they're at.
It's and you said about being selfish. You have to be selfish. You have to be selfish in your recovery in order to be selfless. You can't help anyone else until you're selfish in your recovery.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad to have you on today. Is there anything else you would like to talk about? Message you would
No, I
like
mean,
to
again, like you were kind of mentioning, there's help out there. I mean, if people need help, reach out through your page, my page. I mean, there's resources out there. And please, if you guys are struggling, reach out and just remember that.
your page.
So the main one I use is the Packer to Packer 120, which is on Facebook. And I have an Instagram, which is Lake to Lake 500. But it's the number 2, not the word 2. So it's just the number 2.
You may have to repeat that and cut
out. So it's Packer to Packer 120, the number 2, not the word, and then Lake to Lake 500 on Instagram.
Okay. If anybody wants more information on Greg Sadinsky,
nailed it. Nailed
it. And his journey, I'm going to be watching his journey on Sober Patrol. We are breaking chains of addiction. And welcome to the Sober Army.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And I will hopefully one day meet you on a march. Maybe we can all walk and meet in the middle somewhere.
Yes, you already got me thinking about it.
I know, that's like, why not?
Yeah, this is this disease affects everybody. It doesn't discriminate. So.
That's right. Right. Oh, and one more thing, we were talking about mental health. I suffer from mental health at a very young age and everything, and through trauma, things like that. So I want to get the word out about mental health too, because a lot of people in mental health suffer from addiction because the wire.
It's all up here.
Addiction. I speak out about mental health. Stop the stigma of addiction and get people in recovery and help, and what you're doing is very admirable. So control today, and I'm going to be watching one of your journey.
Thank you so much. You broke up a little bit there, but I really do appreciate it.
I know. Every time I do this show, it's like bleep bleep bleep.
No, I know, and I'm trying not to move.
I can't help it. I sit here and swivel back in the chair, and it's probably me doing it to myself.
Oh, I do it too. Part of my walk is because I walk and talk a lot too. So.
Yeah, it helps, especially like that squirrel mode.
Yeah, right. But like you were mentioning, people, they don't really tend to always address the mental health, and it's really important to address both. Like, you use because of what's going on, and there's a reason,
Right.
whether it's trauma, depression, anxiety. So, mental health is a
Right.
big part of it.
It's a stigma. They they would want to they wanted to put people away into the crazy house, and so that mental health has got a stigma. And then you see these people, and I know because I used to be one of them. They don't want to take their medication. Oh, I feel better. The reason you feel better is because you're taking medication.
Yeah, I was
Not
one of
that I
those.
not not that I always agree with medication. I really don't want to take medication, but I know that it keeps me level. It helps everybody around me.
Me too. Yeah, I was one of them people, and I've learned that it's working, so why fight it?
That's right. I know that's right. But well, I hope you have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thank
Love to have
you.
you on the show or just whenever on your journey. So I want to see how you're doing and update with you. And
Definitely will. Thank you so much.
God bless, Greg, and good
Yep,
luck
I
to
have
you.
your number. We'll talk soon. All
Okay.
right, thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank